Look at me for a moment. Poverty is not simply a lack of money. It's the presence of patterns. If those patterns stay hidden, they quietly drain your future while you wonder why life never changes. So today I want to walk with you through 10 habits that will keep anyone poor unless you break them. As I speak, don't just hear with your ears, hear with your heart. Because if even one of these habits touches your life, today can be the turning point. Number 1, living without vision. Listen, if you don't know where you're going, every road looks right and every dollar is spent on detours. I once met a young man with 3 jobs and no plan. Every payday he celebrated with a new gadget or night out. 5 years later, same job, same struggle. Not because he was lazy, but because he never decided on a destination. Money without a mission disappears like mist. Take a moment, see the picture of your future, career, family, impact. Until you paint that picture, money has no assignment and poverty will write the script for you. Number 2, spending everything you earn. Look, wealth is not measured by income, but by what remains. The prodigal son proves it. A sudden fortune wasted in months. I once knew a couple who earned more than their parents ever dreamed. Each raise brought a bigger car and a fancier vacation. Then a medical crisis hit and they were one paycheck from eviction. Even ants store for winter. Start where you are. Even $5 a week is a statement of faith that tomorrow matters. Savings is quiet strength. It shouts, I believe in a future worth planning for. Number 3, ignoring knowledge. Listen, Hosea 4:6 records God saying, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, not lack of opportunity, lack of knowledge. Consider King Solomon. When God offered anything, he asked for wisdom. Riches followed. Contrast that with the Israelites who refused to learn God's ways and repeatedly lost the land they were given. Books cost less than bad decisions. Mentors cost less than years of wandering. Invest in your mind. The return lasts longer than any market cycle. Number 4, chasing quick riches. So many want harvest without planting. Proverbs 13:11 warns, wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it. Think of the parable of the sower, seed that shot up quickly with no root withered in the sun. Or remember the crowds who followed Jesus only for bread. They left when the miracle meal ended. Real growth is like farming. You prepare the soil, sow the seed, wait through seasons. Slow doesn't mean failure, it means foundation. Number 5, rejecting discipline. Look, discipline is freedom wearing work clothes. Samson had supernatural strength but no self-control. A single relationship and a pair of scissors ended his calling. Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 9 that he disciplines his body like an athlete so he won't be disqualified. Undisciplined living today looks like endless scrolling, impulse buying, or skipping hard conversations. Every no to a fleeting desire is a louder yes to lasting freedom. Number 6, neglecting relationships. Listen, opportunity often walks in on 2 legs. Joseph's connection to Pharaoh's cupbearer lifted him from prison to palace. Ruth's loyalty to Naomi brought her into the lineage of Jesus. I know a young designer who volunteered his skills at church events. Years later, one of those contacts became his first investor. Serve, remember names, show up. Money and favor flow along the lines of trust. Listen to me now. We've covered the first 6 habits, big ones that can quietly drain your life. But the next 4, these are the heavyweights. If you conquer these, you'll break chains that held generations. So lean in, take a breath. These final 3 habits deserve your full attention. Number 7, living for applause. Look around. So many people stay broke trying to look rich. They buy the car, the shoes, the shiny watch, anything that says, I matter. The Bible warns us here. King Saul is a perfect picture. God told him to destroy the Amalekites completely, but Saul spared the best animals to sacrifice to the Lord, or so he claimed. Samuel confronted him, and Saul finally confessed, I feared the people and obeyed their voice. Fear of opinion cost him a kingdom. Jesus also spoke of the Pharisees who gave to the poor while sounding trumpets so everyone would notice. He said they have received their reward in full. In other words, the applause was all they'd ever get. I once met a young entrepreneur who threw lavish launch parties before he had a product that worked. Investors were impressed for a month. By year's end, the company folded. Why? He chased likes and headlines instead of building value. Here's the truth. Applause is fleeting. Purpose is permanent. When you buy what impresses others, you rent their approval and mortgage your future. Take a pause right here. Ask yourself, would I make the same choice if no one ever knew? If the answer is no, you're serving the crowd instead of your calling. Number 8, ignoring your God-given gift. Listen carefully. Inside every person is a seed of brilliance, a gift heaven planted to bless the earth. But many never discover it because they're too busy copying someone else. Exodus 31 introduces Bezalel, filled with the Spirit to design the tabernacle. He wasn't a prophet or a king, he was an artist. God anointed craftsmanship as holy work. Think of David. Before he was a warrior king, he was a shepherd with a sling and a song. The same hands that wrote Psalms also guided stones toward Goliath. His gift of music opened doors in Saul's palace long before he wore a crown. I once counseled a woman who loved to bake but thought it trivial. She finally opened a small kitchen in her neighborhood. That little hobby became a chain of bakeries, employing dozens and funding missions overseas. Proverbs 18:16 promises, a man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men. Notice it's not your resume or your networking, it's your gift. So here's my challenge. Stop running from the thing that makes you unique. Study it, sharpen it, because if you ignore your gift, you'll spend your life working for someone who didn't ignore theirs. Number 9, fear of risk. Look, this might be the most subtle thief of all. Many people stay poor, not because they failed, but because they never started. Remember the parable of the talents in Matthew 25. One servant received a single talent, still a fortune in today's money, but fear gripped him. He buried it saying, I was afraid. The master didn't call him cautious, he called him wicked and lazy. Peter stepped out of the boat and walked on water while the rest clung to safety. Yes, he sank for a moment, but he also experienced the impossible. I think of Abraham leaving everything familiar to follow a God he couldn't see, heading toward a land he'd never visited. Because he stepped, we now call him the father of faith. I once mentored a man who dreamed of opening a small landscaping business. For 10 years, he said, when the economy improves, when the kids are older, when I have more saved. Finally, he retired from a job he disliked and looked back with regret. He realized the safest choice was the costliest. Here's what you must know. Faith that never moves is just an idea. Planning is wise, paralysis is not. Pray, research, prepare, but eventually you have to step. Take that class, pitch that client, write the first page of that book. Do it scared if you must, because risk with God is not gambling, it's obedience. Number 10, holding too tightly. The habit of stinginess. Listen carefully. The last habit is the quietest, but it will choke your future if you let it. It's the habit of holding on so tightly that nothing new can ever flow in. The Bible is blunt here. Proverbs 11:24 says, one person gives freely, yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty. Think of the widow of Zarephath in 1 Kings 17. She had just enough flour and oil for one last meal. But when Elijah asked for bread, she chose to give. That tiny act of generosity unlocked a miracle. Her jar never ran empty during the famine. Jesus praised the widow who dropped 2 small coins into the temple treasury. It looked like nothing, but he said she gave more than all the wealthy because she gave her all. I once met a businessman who admitted he never tithed or gave because he feared running out. For years he struggled. When he finally released that fear and began to give consistently, time, talent, resources, doors opened he could never have forced. Opportunities, partnerships, even unexpected health breakthroughs followed. Giving changed the atmosphere of his life. Here's the principle. Money is a river, not a reservoir. When you dam it up, it grows stagnant. When you let it flow, whether that's money, time, encouragement, God keeps the current alive. So look at your own life. Where have you been clutching instead of releasing? Is it your finances, your schedule, maybe forgiveness itself? Generosity is not just about dollars, it's about trust. It says, Lord, you are my source. I will not fear lack. Now you've heard all 10. Maybe one habit shouted at you. Maybe several whispered. That's you. Don't leave this moment the same. Remember, you are not defined by yesterday's choices. Every sunrise is proof that God still believes in your tomorrow. Start where you are. Break the habits one decision at a time. Replace them with wisdom, discipline, and faith. You don't have to be trapped by poverty, financial or spiritual. The same God who multiplied a widow's oil, who turned a shepherd into a king, who fed thousands with a few loaves, is still multiplying today. So rise, forgive yourself, take the next faithful step. Give, create, build, dream, because your future is not waiting for perfect conditions. It's waiting for you to move. I declare to you today, your best days, your absolute best days are not behind you. They are ahead, overflowing with opportunity, provision, and purpose. Now go live like it. Amen.